Hey YouTube, what is going on? This is Whiteout coming to you tonight from Team Shadowburst. Sorry, it's been about 2.5 weeks since we did our last deck profile. We didn't really get to it last week. Uh, Basic recap of last week's tournament. I did top four with Glad Beast. I made some minor alterations this week. I did actually top two this week. Stupid misplay on my part cost me the actual match, but it went to Anthony Hernandez, who was using a Chaos Synchro build, and it's actually pretty effective. But anyway, I wanted to bring to you my new Glad Beast deck. This is probably the last profile I'm going to be doing on it for a while, just because I think Glad's has really hit its pinnacle of exertion. I'm going to be working on something new at next week's tournament, and I will be bringing it to you. But I'm very proud of this build. It actually got me. The one person I've been having a problem with was uh, person by the name of David. He was using Monster Mash, and he wrecked almost every week. But I beat him 2 matches straight today, and it got to where it needed to go. So I'm very proud of it. But I wanted to show it to you. That way you guys can get to know what it was all about. But anyway, here we go. First things first, 2GB Laquari. You can't beat him, main beater of the deck. He actually saved me just because of his high attack today, so it was always a good thing, especially when he's tagged in. He goes to 21. You can't beat that. Next, you have 2 Equests. This was actually the MVP of my deck today because whenever I got my War Chariots, which is what I really needed to get to the top two, every time I expended one, I couldn't draw on the other one, so I could just recycle that with him on the field. And I just tag into him and let the Chariots do the work, which is always a nice thing. Then we have one Demakari. Demakari is actually a new addition to my build. He's a double battler, so he's great for taking out mass monsters in the field, especially with some of the back row that I have supporting this deck. So he's always great. One's just fine. Next, we have one Murmillo. I was running two in the main deck, but I sided the other one out. It actually proved to be quite effective using Demakar instead of him, so I'm happy with that. Then we have one Darius. I was main decking two, but Darius just seems to be good at one because, I mean, with all the cards in the back row that you'll see in a second, it tends to only really need to be at one, but it does allow me to go for the massive fusions when I have to, which is good. Next, one Bestiari, gateway to Geyseris. Geyseris actually saved me quite a few times today with Bestiari, and the Darius actually helped me get him out on the field. Next, we have one Hop Loomis, great for a first turn if you don't get any of your real Glad Beasts to attack with or throw up. You can just set him in defense because he's 21. Even if they do get a Cyber Dragon, they're not going to really get any farther than him and allow him to tag out and go to something bigger. So I'm very happy with him. Next, we have one Sekitor. I did manage to pick up another one courtesy of Alex today. Thank you, Alex. It is in a side build, but Sekitor, when he battles, allows you to tag in two more Gladabees to go for a massive Heraclinos or even Bestiari, or Geyseris in some cases, or Esadari if you'd like to go that route too. Great card. I'm happy with his performance all around, so we'll leave him in there. Next we have two Test Tigers. The two Test Tigers are actually a downgrade from the last time. I was using three, but three just seemed to be too overkill, and I was always dead drawing into three when I didn't need it. The two just seemed to flow in the deck right when I needed to, and they were always there, especially with the next card coming up. I didn't always have to use them to tag out for the Gladabees, so that was a good option. The next card, two Caius, as in my last profile. These cards actually saved me quite a few times today by removing a back row, which is a Mirror Force or a Cylinder. In one case that could have gained me, especially some of the Test Tiger when you have a Gladabees and then sack for him. So it also kept my opponents on edge. Because if they knew that this was coming, so they had to play a little bit smarter and cause them to trip up a little bit. So I'm very happy with that. Next, we have two Trigodias. Yes, one of them is a common. If you guys do have another ultimate, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to trade for it. I'll be putting up a trade binder very soon, so you guys can get to look at it. But two Trigodias works very well in this deck. Not so much for the take control part or the level part because it doesn't sync, but it really does work when you need to defend, and then if next turn sack for Caius if you need to, or just leave him out there until you get whatever you need. Happy with that. Next, we're on to the spells. That was it for the monsters. The monster count is actually a little higher. It's 18 now because the Tragodia is at 2 and the Caius. But now we're going to the 3 Proving Grounds. Proving Ground, always a good thing, especially when you need to get access to that specific Glad Beast. The Glad Beast, especially when you need to get into Geyseris or Heraclinos, you always need to get into Laquari or bestiary, so getting immediate access to those two is always a good thing. You can't argue with that. Next, you have one Dark Hole, staple. One Heavy Storm, staple. One Book of Moon, staple. Quick play spell, so help shut down your opponent if you don't have any traps. Next, the second MVP of the deck today, D-Fissure. Always seemed to be there right when I needed it. Shut down a lot of my opponents because a lot of their decks were, needed a graveyard. And with the metagame out there, they couldn't do nothing. Chariot would hit the graveyard, but the monsters wouldn't. None of my Glad Beasts would get removed, so I just recycled Chariot. These worked wonders, and I'm very happy with them. Next, we have two Burden of the Mighties. Just because the Glad Beasts being so low in attack, you need to bring everything down to their levels. There was a couple times where they had Ryos on the field, and I just normal summoned Democari or Equest, and I just ran right over them. Allowed me to get the tag out and, not have them stop it with Ryo, which was great. The main MVP of the deck today, Chariot. Everybody's worst enemy at the tournament. Nobody liked this card. Everybody was afraid to make a move because of this card. They knew I had it on the back row, and because all the monster-heavy decks, all I had to do is just chain this, and it negates anything from the graveyard to the hand to the field. They can't do anything to stop it unless they Solemn it or Dark Bribe it, which I didn't have a problem with that today. Chariot is just a freaking broken-ass card. It's a Veiler combined with the Herald all in one with a debunk. I mean, you really can't argue with it, and I'm glad that I put it at 3 instead of the 2 that I was running when I first did Glad Beasts a year ago, so that was very good. Next we have 3 Wabaku, sorry. Basically just to stop the battle, allow your Glad Beasts to tag out on your opponent's turn. Can't argue with that. 1 Mirror Force, staple. 3 Reckless Greeds to draw out your deck. If you chain them all 3 on the same turn or in succession before the draw phases, they don't stack. So you only have to skip 2 draw phases. So it's 6 cards, you only skip 2 draw phases. And if you draw on the traps that you need, the Glad Beast effects will do the work for themselves. So can't argue with that. Next we have 2 Bottomless Trap Holes. Bottomless Trap Hole was amazing today. There was several times where I'd come up against a Ryo and I didn't have the burden or anything like that. So this would just allow me to frickin' just one more turn stall out until I manage to tag into my Geyseris or into my Heraclinos or even one case Esadari. So can't argue with that. Last card for the main deck, D-Fissure or D-Prison. D-Prison is a really great card, and it really did help me a lot today. They're expecting a Wabaku, and you hit them with that D-Prison instead. It just removes everything. So that was great. Now we're going to go on to the extra deck. The extra deck, I did change it up a little bit, but it's nothing too big. I went to 2 Heraclinos instead, just because today they actually managed to remove one, and I got into the other one, so I just kept his negation ability going, which saved my back row and saved my monsters, which was always a good thing. I went to 2 GBS Adaris, aka J-Nub. That's him blinged out, and that's him when he's poor. But anyway, I mean, this card saved me once, because it just requires 2 Glad Beasts. It doesn't require any specifics, so you really can't argue with that, even though he doesn't have an effect. 2 Geyseris, standard. I summoned him quite a few times a day just to start popping things, especially when they had monsters that I didn't want to get their flip effects off, so just special summon, pop, pop. No argument there. Next, we're going to go on to the side build. Side build, 15 cards exactly. It's not a very... I haven't built it as an effective side build, but I'm just going to make it real quick because I'm running out of time here. 1 Sam Knight, my 2nd Segitor that I picked up today, my 2nd Marmillo, and my 3rd Test Tiger, just in case I needed to change it up a little bit. Okay. Next, we have 1 Monster Reborn. I was going to take it out, but I did use it a couple times today, so it was good. 3 Smashing Grounds. I was main decking 2 of them and sometimes 3 of them, but it just was too inconsistent, so I only sided out when I come across a massive monster deck. Still 1 Defensive Tactics just to, if I need that extra protection. 2 Trap Stuns for heavy trap decks. 1 Starlight Road just to protect from Heavy Storm and Dark Hole. And then 2 Compulsory Activation Device, just in case you get to that point to where you need to bounce something like a Synchro or a Z back to the extra deck. But anyway, YouTube, this is Whiteout signing out. This will be the last profile I do on my Glad Beast deck for quite some time. I'm going to put it on the shelf. I'm working on some new stuff. But anyway, comment, rate, subscribe, and I hope to hear your thoughts on it. Have a great night.